What if your weight gain isn't because you're lazy or because your metabolism is slow? What if it's because your body has literally forgotten how to burn fat? What if the real problem isn't how much you eat, but what your body is capable of doing with what you eat? Right now, inside your body, there are tiny power plants called mitochondria. Their job is simple: turn fuel into energy. That fuel can come from two main sources: glucose, which comes mostly from carbs, and fat, which comes from stored body fat or dietary fats. A healthy, metabolically flexible body can switch between these two fuels easily. Eat carbs, it burns glucose. Skip a meal or exercise, it shifts and burns fat. This ability to switch back and forth smoothly is called metabolic flexibility. But here's the problem. Modern life has trained most of our bodies to rely almost entirely on sugar. Think about the average day. Breakfast is cereal or a sweet coffee. A few hours later, a snack, maybe a biscuit or some chips. Lunch is rice or fast food. Another snack. Then a dinner heavy in carbs, and often dessert. From morning to night, glucose keeps entering the bloodstream, and insulin keeps rising to manage it. Now, insulin is not the enemy. It's essential. It helps move glucose from your blood into your cells. But when insulin stays elevated all day, every day, something important happens. Your body stops accessing stored fat efficiently, because insulin's job is not only to store glucose, it also tells your body, do not burn fat right now. We have sugar available, so if insulin rarely drops, your body rarely switches into fat-burning mode. Over time, this constant sugar-burning state weakens your metabolic flexibility. It's like never using a muscle. Eventually, it becomes inefficient. This is why so many people say things like, if I skip a meal, I feel shaky, or I get angry if I don't eat every few hours, or I feel exhausted in the afternoon unless I have something sweet. That's not just hunger. That's metabolic inflexibility. A flexible metabolism can go several hours without food and still function clearly. It calmly shifts to burning stored fat for energy. But an inflexible metabolism panics, blood sugar drops slightly, and the brain sends urgent hunger signals. Cravings hit hard. Energy crashes. Let's go a little deeper. When you constantly rely on glucose, your mitochondria adapt. They get very good at processing sugar, but less efficient at burning fat. At the same time, chronically high insulin can lead to insulin resistance. That means your cells stop responding properly to insulin's signal. So your body produces even more insulin. More insulin means even less fat burning. And that's when stubborn belly fat appears, not necessarily because you're eating huge amounts, but because your body is metabolically stuck. Imagine a hybrid car that can run on both electricity and gasoline. But over time, the electric system becomes weak because it's never used. Now, the car depends almost entirely on gasoline. It runs, but inefficiently. That's what happens when your body forgets how to burn fat. This also explains those energy crashes after meals. When you eat high-carb meals without enough protein or fiber, blood sugar rises quickly, insulin spikes. Then blood sugar drops sharply. You feel sleepy, foggy, or hungry again. You think you need more food, but what you actually need is better fuel switching. Now, let's talk about why this matters beyond just your weight. Metabolic flexibility is strongly connected to metabolic health. When flexibility decreases, the risk of insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, fatty liver disease, and cardiovascular problems increases. Even your brain function can be affected. The brain can use both glucose and ketones, a fuel produced from fat. If your body struggles to produce ketones efficiently, your brain becomes heavily dependent on a steady glucose supply. That's one reason some people feel mental fatigue when they delay meals. Their brain isn't comfortable using alternative fuels. Another major factor is muscle mass. Your muscle tissue plays a critical role in metabolic flexibility. It's one of the main places where glucose is stored and used. When muscle mass decreases due to inactivity or aging, your ability to manage glucose efficiently also decreases. That makes fat storage more likely. Sedentary lifestyles weaken this system even further. Sitting for long hours signals your body that energy demand is low. Mitochondria become less active. Over time, they become less efficient at switching fuels. Stress also plays a hidden role. Chronic stress elevates cortisol. Cortisol increases blood sugar to prepare you for danger. But when stress is psychological and constant, like from deadlines or financial pressure, blood sugar stays elevated more often, insulin follows, and fat burning gets suppressed again. Sleep deprivation makes it even worse. Even one night of poor sleep can reduce insulin sensitivity. Multiple nights, the effect compounds, hunger hormones increase, cravings intensify. Your body becomes more dependent on quick energy. So, metabolic inflexibility isn't just about food, it's about patterns. Frequent eating, processed carbs, low protein, chronic stress, poor sleep. And no strength training altogether. They slowly train your body to forget its fat-burning ability. But here's the hopeful part. Your body can relearn. Metabolic flexibility is not permanently lost. It's adaptable. Just as you trained your metabolism into a sugar-dependent state, you can train it back into balance. The key is not extreme dieting, it's strategic signaling. So, how do you teach your body to burn fat again without extreme diets, without starving yourself, and without feeling exhausted all the time? The answer is not about cutting out carbs forever. It's about restoring balance and rebuilding flexibility. The first principle is this: lower insulin strategically. Remember, insulin blocks fat burning when it stays elevated. So, the goal is to create natural periods during the day when insulin can drop. That doesn't mean skipping meals aggressively. It means reducing constant snacking. If you currently eat every 2 hours, your insulin rarely gets a break. Start by spacing meals out slightly. Try 3 balanced meals without frequent grazing in between. When you give your body 4 to 5 hours between meals, insulin has time to fall. That's when fat burning can begin. At first, this might feel uncomfortable. You may feel hungry sooner than expected. That's not a sign something is wrong. It's a sign your body is used to quick sugar. Over time, as your flexibility improves, hunger becomes more stable and less urgent. The second principle is to build meals that stabilize your blood sugar. A metabolically flexible body doesn't panic after eating. To support that, each meal should contain protein, fiber, and healthy fats. Protein slows digestion and reduces blood sugar spikes. Fiber feeds gut bacteria and delays glucose absorption. Healthy fats provide sustained energy and signal satiety. Compared to breakfasts, one is toast with jam and a sweet coffee. The other is eggs with vegetables and some avocado. The first one spikes glucose quickly. The second one releases energy slowly and keeps insulin more stable. That stability gives your body a better chance to shift into fat burning between meals. The third principle is resistance training. This is one of the most powerful but underestimated tools for metabolic flexibility. When you lift weights or do body weight exercises, you create a demand for energy. Your muscles become more insulin sensitive. They store glucose more efficiently. Over time, this reduces the amount of insulin your body needs. Lower insulin means better access to stored fat. Even just 2 to 3 strength sessions per week can significantly improve your metabolic health. And you don't need a gym. Squats, push-ups, lunges, and resistance bands consistency matters more than intensity. The fourth principle is low-intensity movement. While high-intensity workouts have their benefits, low-intensity, steady movement like walking is particularly effective for improving fat oxidation. When you walk at a comfortable pace, your body primarily uses fat for fuel. Doing this regularly trains your system to become more comfortable in fat-burning mode. Think of walking as teaching your metabolism to switch gears smoothly. The fifth and final principle is sleep protection. Sleep is where metabolic repair happens. When you're sleep-deprived, your insulin sensitivity drops. Your hunger hormones increase. You crave fast energy. Your body becomes more glucose dependent. Even if your diet is perfect, poor sleep can block flexibility. So aim for consistent bedtimes, reduce bright light at night. Avoid heavy meals right before you go to sleep. These small habits protect your insulin sensitivity and mitochondrial function. Now, let's talk about something important: fasting. Intermittent fasting is often associated with fat burning, and yes, fasting can improve metabolic flexibility. When you don't eat for a period of time, insulin drops and the body increases fat oxidation. But fasting is not a magic solution, and it's not suitable for everyone. It's a tool, not a rule. If you're new to this, start with the basics we've covered today: balanced meals, less snacking, movement, and sleep. Once those are in place, you can explore whether fasting fits into your life. Remember, regaining your metabolic flexibility is a journey, not a race. It's about sending your body the right signals consistently. With these strategies, you can reteach your body its natural ability to switch fuels, feel more energetic, and build a stronger, more resilient metabolism. Thanks for watching, and if you found this helpful, be sure to subscribe for more content on building a healthier body from the inside out. If someone is already highly stressed, sleeping poorly, or under-eating, aggressive fasting can backfire. The key is gradual adaptation. Instead of jumping into a 16-hour fast immediately, start by extending your overnight fast slightly. Finish dinner earlier. Delay breakfast by an hour. Let your body adjust slowly. Over time, longer fasting windows may feel natural, not forced. The sixth principle is reduce ultra-processed carbohydrates. Highly refined foods digest quickly, spike insulin, and keep you trapped in sugar-burning mode. Whole foods digest more slowly and provide micronutrients that support mitochondrial health. Your mitochondria require nutrients like magnesium, B vitamins, iron, and antioxidants to function efficiently. Diets dominated by processed foods often lack these critical components. The seventh principle is manage stress intentionally. Chronic stress elevates cortisol, which raises blood sugar. Even if you're eating perfectly, stress alone can keep insulin elevated. That's why metabolic flexibility is not just a diet issue, it's a nervous system issue. Deep breathing, prayer, journaling, nature exposure, and meaningful social connection all help regulate stress hormones. When cortisol stabilizes, blood sugar becomes easier to manage. Now here's something many people don't realize. Improving metabolic flexibility often improves mental clarity. When your body efficiently produces ketones, a byproduct of fat metabolism, your brain can use them as clean, stable fuel. Many people report fewer energy crashes, better focus, and more stable moods as their flexibility improves. This is not because carbs are evil. It's because your system becomes adaptable. A flexible metabolism can handle a high-carb meal occasionally without chaos. It can fast comfortably. It can exercise without extreme crashes. It can shift gears. An inflexible metabolism struggles with all of it. So the goal is not restriction. The goal is adaptability. And adaptability takes repetition. So how long does it actually take to retrain your metabolism? This is where expectations matter. If your body has been relying almost entirely on sugar for years, it will not suddenly become highly efficient at burning fat in 3 days. There is an adaptation period, and during that period, you may feel slightly uncomfortable. In the first 1 to 2 weeks of reducing constant snacking and stabilizing blood sugar, some people notice temporary dips in energy. You might feel hungrier between meals. Workouts may feel harder. That's because your body is still learning to access stored fat more efficiently. But if you stay consistent, something begins to shift. By week 2 or 3, hunger becomes more stable. You don't feel desperate for snacks every few hours. Energy between meals improves. Afternoon crashes become less dramatic. You may notice that skipping a meal occasionally doesn't make you irritable or shaky anymore. That's an early sign your metabolic flexibility is improving. Around week 4 to 6, many people report clearer thinking and fewer intense cravings. Workouts start to feel stronger. Walking feels easier. Some notice gradual fat loss, especially around the midsection, not because they are starving, but because their body is finally able to access stored fat when insulin drops. This is when you realize something powerful. You are no longer controlled by food timing. You can eat and feel satisfied. You can wait and feel stable. You can exercise and recover better. That's flexibility. Now, let's talk about maintenance, because the goal is not a temporary reset, it's long-term metabolic resilience. The key is variety. A metabolically flexible person can eat carbohydrates without spiraling into constant cravings. They can also go longer between meals without anxiety. They can enjoy a higher carb meal occasionally, because their system knows how to handle it. One mistake people make is swinging to extremes. They move from constant carb intake to extremely low-carb dieting forever. While lower carb periods can help restore flexibility, permanent rigidity is not the goal. The healthiest metabolism is adaptable, not restricted. Cycling energy demand is powerful. Some days you might eat slightly more carbohydrates, especially around intense training. Other days, meals may be lighter and more protein-focused. Some days you may eat 3 meals. Other days you may naturally eat 2. This variation signals adaptability. Muscle mass becomes even more important as you age. After 30, muscle mass slowly declines if not trained. Less muscle means lower glucose storage capacity. That makes insulin resistance more likely over time. Strength training is not just about appearance, it's metabolic insurance. The more muscle you preserve, the easier it is to stay flexible. Let's also address body fat directly. Excess visceral fat, the deep belly fat surrounding organs, is metabolically active. It releases inflammatory chemicals that worsen insulin resistance. As flexibility improves and insulin levels stabilize, reducing visceral fat becomes easier. This creates a positive feedback loop. Lower insulin gives better fat. Burning gives less visceral fat, gives improved insulin sensitivity. The cycle reverses. Now, here's an important psychological shift. When your metabolism becomes flexible, food stops being an emergency. You don't obsess over your next meal. You don't panic if lunch is delayed. You don't crash emotionally when you eat carbs. You feel steady, and that steadiness changes your relationship with health entirely. Instead of chasing quick fat loss, you focus on metabolic strength. Instead of asking, "How do I lose weight fast?" you ask, "How do I build a body that handles energy efficiently?" That question leads to sustainable habits. Over time, metabolic flexibility supports more than just weight control. It improves blood sugar regulation, reduces risk of type 2 diabetes, supports heart health, enhances cognitive function, and may even play a role in healthy aging. Because at its core, metabolic flexibility reflects cellular health. Healthy cells respond to signals appropriately. Unhealthy cells overreact or underperform. So, when you rebuild this ability to switch fuels, you are improving function at the deepest level inside the mitochondria of your cells. And remember this, metabolic inflexibility didn't happen overnight. It developed through years of constant grazing, poor sleep, stress overload, and inactivity. So, rebuilding flexibility requires patience and consistency. But the reward is powerful. Stable energy, fewer cravings, better body composition, clearer thinking, greater resilience. Your body was designed to burn both sugar and fat. It was designed to adapt to feast and fasting. It was designed to move. It didn't forget how to burn fat permanently. It just adapted to the signals you repeatedly gave it. And the moment you change those signals consistently, your metabolism begins to remember. Before we close, take a second to think about this. What if your struggle with weight, cravings, and energy crashes was never about willpower? What if it was simply about a system that adapted to the wrong signals for too long? Metabolic flexibility is not a trendy concept. It's a fundamental survival skill built into your biology. For thousands of years, humans didn't eat every few hours. Food availability changed. Activity levels changed. Our bodies evolved to switch between fuel sources smoothly, burning glucose when available, burning fat when needed. But modern life removed the switching. Constant access to refined carbohydrates, frequent snacking, chronic stress, minimal movement, poor sleep, all of it quietly trained the body to depend on sugar as its primary fuel. And when that happens, energy becomes unstable, hunger becomes urgent. Fat storage becomes easier, cravings become louder. So the real goal is not extreme dieting, it's rebuilding adaptability. A flexible metabolism doesn't fear carbs, it handles them. It doesn't panic when meals are delayed, it adapts. It doesn't store every extra calorie as fat, it adjusts based on demand. That is metabolic strength. And here's the empowering truth. Your body is incredibly responsive. When you begin spacing meals, building protein-rich plates, lifting weights, walking daily, sleeping consistently, and managing stress, you are sending new signals. You're telling your body it's safe to burn fat. It's safe to stabilize energy. It's safe to relax. And slowly, quietly, your cells respond. Hunger stabilizes. Energy smooths out. Cravings lose intensity. Mental clarity improves. Belly fat becomes less stubborn, not because you starved yourself, not because you punished your body, but because you restored its natural ability to switch gears. This is not about short-term weight loss, it's about long-term metabolic resilience. Because when your metabolism becomes flexible, you're no longer trapped in cycles of restriction and rebound. You're no longer controlled by blood sugar swings. You move through your day with steadiness instead of urgency. Your body didn't forget how to burn fat permanently. It simply adapted to the environment you created, and the moment you change that environment consistently, patiently, intelligently, your metabolism begins to remember what it was designed to do. The real question isn't whether your body can relearn. The real question is, are you ready to retrain it?